Hello. So to continue on from the other day, my video about people pleasing and caretaking, um, and I'm realizing that what humans need is connection. What we want, what we long for, is to connect with other humans. We're mammals. We're social creatures. We're born helpless. We need our caregivers to take care of our basic needs. We're also, of course, it's good if there's a lot more than our basic needs taken care of. We're touched, we're held. The energy feels safe and not frightening and threatening. A lot of yelling and shouting and things like that really affects us. So, anyway. So because our connection with our caregivers is so critical when we're babies and as we get older, so we will take on whatever behaviors we can to ensure that we're taken care of. For myself, as a codependent, I became whatever I thought my dad would need me to be, so that I would be safe and my mom and brother would be safe. So I molded into what he needed. Now, so this is codependency behavior where you're caretaking and becoming what people around you need. Now, my brother, he took on something very, very different. He is what one would call the black sheep, rebellious. So from day one, he had temper tantrums. He was difficult. And I thought he was selfish, and I didn't understand why he couldn't just be nice for our poor mom and dad, who were obviously having a hard time. However, what I have learned much later in life is that his nervous system could not take on an adapting behavior. He felt so overwhelmed with what he was feeling around him that he was in this reactive mode. So that's what he did. And interestingly enough, and this is how he was as well. I've also understood that we need to be understood by our parents. We need to be able to conform to what they need. And if we cannot do that, such my father couldn't and my brother could not, because their nervous system just couldn't calm down enough, then they feel misunderstood, and they feel on the outside, and there's a lot of trauma with that. Interestingly enough, so then my dad was that kind of person, my brother was that kind of person, and my first husband was that kind of person. So I wonder what life is trying to tell me with all that. And of course, I take on this caretaking of all of them. And so I did that. And my father, to be very blunt, was a pedophile as an adult. My brother is an alcoholic, and my first husband was addicted to marijuana throughout his life, and then took his life in the end. So, and this is a more messy video, not in that I'm going to have tears, but more, not exactly angry, but I cannot understand. I don't understand how these people can behave that way. I understand they're in pain, and I know that people do things when they're in pain. I don't understand a lot of the strange behaviors people do when they're in pain, and the extreme behaviors and belief systems they take on, and fundamentalist belief systems, so that it's okay to try and destroy people and for the greater good or for their cause, and and to hurt people, I'm not okay with this. And I've worked on forgiving, and I'm a part of me is unwilling, and I don't, a part of me doesn't want to. I have done things like writing on a piece of paper the angry things with my dad, and then burning it and releasing it, or the ashes, and then burying the ashes underneath a favorite tree, and all these kinds of things, and asking Archangel Michael to come, and on and on and on. And I thought at the time they were helpful, and I know these things can really help people, but the truth is I didn't want them to. I didn't want those practices to work, I realized, because it's not okay, and I don't want to forgive. A part of me is angry, a part of me is obviously in judgment. However, an interesting point with all this is that with having done some of these videos, I am also understanding what's going on for people. All humans needing connection and being desperate for connection, when we will do things for connection that don't make any sense at all. If you're coming from a thinking place, things that seem destructive, behaviors that really hurt other people and hurt themselves, such as those 3 people, my dad, my brother, and my first husband. And I'm incredibly grateful that for some reason I did not go down the paths they went down. Definitely tempted with numbing, with substances. I have my eating situation and my caretaking and my workaholism, so I definitely have things, but they are socially acceptable. These are codependent traits, which is socially acceptable. And I manage my symptoms, and I know that eventually managing leads to looping, and I need to get to actually feeling and being, and also recognizing that just because codependents are sweet and nice, by and large, can be very controlling and irritating, but sweet and nice doesn't mean they're not hurting, doesn't mean it's not hard. Just because so-called badly behaved people get all the attention, and I don't want to get attention through behaving badly, but doesn't mean that people like myself haven't been hurting and aren't hurting either. So this is a more messy video. Again, there's no solutions, but what I have been learning is a way through this kind of stuff. The only thing left, the only thing I haven't done, is to give myself what I've been looking for outside of myself, in relationships, in organizations, in connections with people. So what I'm really wanting is connection with myself. And that's the last thing I want to do. And it's interesting how we all crave connection, and yet so many of us also, it's the most terrifying thing, because there's vulnerability. We can feel naked, unprotected, not safe. And by the same token, connection with myself feels all those things too. And it's simply me. It's the strangest thing. I'm just wanting to connect with me, and yet that feels so terrifying. And these are parts of myself that I guess I don't know. So I know this is messy, but I also get irritated with teachers and so on that tell you what to do, and I know what they say is right, but yeah, I wanted to swear there, and I guess I won't. Oh, what the hell, what the fuck, how do you do it? How do you fucking do that? So I come and go, and trying to find more gentle ways. What are little steps to give myself the yummy, the gentle, the sweet, the nice, the delicious. That word works for me, delicious. What feels delicious in the moment. On another note, I've been doing tattoos. So I have a dragon there and a phoenix there and love and so on, and a hand tattoo and a big heart on the back. So these are ways I have more of my spunky, sort of edgy anger voice, that it's not okay. And I understand the pain of people that act out, and I act out in my own ways. But the extreme, I don't understand why they don't think about other people. So there is my messy post, my messy video. Thank you for listening. Bye.